You cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. They won't have a nuclear weapon. They're going to pay a big price. They're being decimated.
Oil prices jumping as President Trump sends a warning to Iran. Every time a ship is attacked in the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. military will destroy one bridge or power plant. Welcome back to the second hour of The Big Money Show. I'm Taylor Riggs, along with my wonderful co-host. And with us for the hour, our very own fan favorite, Larry Kudlow. Great to have you.
Thank you.
So U.S. forces unleashing an 11th straight night of strikes on Iran, hitting aircraft and drone facilities across the country. The White House is now threatening to attack Iranian nuclear sites like Pickaxe Mountain if the regime won't negotiate in good faith.
We remain open to diplomacy. We remain open to working it out in a negotiated way. But right now, they don't seem to be serious about that. And so we're going to continue to protect shipping. We think other countries should join us in that endeavor. We don't need them to, but they should, because they're more impacted by it than we are. And at the same time, we are going to, when the opportunity presents itself, degrade their ability to target global shipping.
Larry, we've been talking, all week that this feels like a new era in the war,
yes.
Sort of a new level
yes.
of where we are.
Yes.
How do you read this?
I think, by the way, watching Marco Rubio, Secretary Rubio, is just a wonderful thing. I mean, my great hope is, at Trump's direction, he is now running everything, because it's time for the professionals to step in. To your point and question, I agree. I did a riff, Monday or something. I think Mr. Trump has crossed the Rubicon on the war because Iran has broken the ceasefire and the MOU. I know the MOU was not the greatest document, but nonetheless, it was what it was, with keeping Hormuz open and no nuclear. So Iran has done everything wrong.
Yeah.
And so they have brought this upon themselves. And now CENTCOM and all of our forces will do what we need to do. I think there's no limit to, you can tit for tat. And my guess is there's a lot of options on the table with respect not only to hitting Iran proper, but also Karg Island and some of the other islands, the possibility of invasions, which we can do. I would also probably bet that there's a lot of covert operations going on, or being stepped up with Israel's Secret Service, the Mossad, our CIA, and our other secret services to help the dissidents, arm the dissidents, whatever it may take internally. So this is full speed ahead. And listen, I understand oil prices are going to go up some more. That's, the way it is. You're fighting for freedom here. You're trying to fix the whole Middle East. The Gulf states are with us. We're preserving Israel's freedom. You can go on as much as you want. This is a historical moment. Mr. Trump is stepping up and filling that historical moment. He understands what he's doing. He gave them a chance. And as Secretary of State Rubio said, look, you can fight, bomb, and have diplomacy at the same time if these intermediaries or mediators, whom we don't trust, particularly Qatar and Turkey, who are we kidding? But anyway, we can go through those exercises. But the ceasefire is over, and we will spare nothing right now. That's my take. That's my reading of him. I have not spoken to him in, I don't know, at least 10, 12 days, and I'm just watching him. I'm watching him. And now I'm watching our country. We cannot let them willy-nilly cross all these red lines, which are the red lines of civilized countries. Yeah. This is not a civilized regime. This is radical Islamist. It's a Nazi-like regime. It always has been. So we have to take matters, as far as we need to take matters.
I said this, and I'm only going to say this. On April 2nd, the problem with Iran, the other negotiating party, is a collection of homicidal religious fanatics. That's it. How are we going to get our goods out of the region reliably?
It's interesting because when I hear you speak, Larry, and I agree with you 100%, Dagan, I think back to Russia, Ukraine, and while there were no boots on the ground there, a lot of money was spent to arm Ukraine to fight Russia. And I was on the fence about that when it was happening and really trying to think it through. And there were many people who said, we can't, and generals that said, we can't let Russia tell us who to be friends with. And therefore, you know, this conflict expanded. And that's a much lower bar for me than nuclear weapons, to the point that you're making here. And so I do think that there's something very serious and worth fighting for. But I also know today is the dignified transfer, and the president is attending that. I believe that it happened moments ago. And, you know, I don't envy him because the stakes are higher now with the loss of life. And so I think about being between a rock and a hard place and fighting for what you believe in and fighting for what is right, but also balancing that with all the things that he has to as the leader.
It's what a great statesman does. We talked about that the last time I was here, and I'll keep saying it. He does have to balance those factors. You're absolutely right. And there's nothing harder than taking casualties from our great patriots and men and women in service. Nothing harder than to see that. But the stakes are very high here. And, you know, Mr. Trump has given them every opportunity. I mean, look, a lot of conservatives were criticizing the MOU. It wasn't tough enough and shouldn't have stopped the ceasefire, shouldn't have gone into the ceasefire, stopped the kinetic bombing and so forth. I understand that. These are all things that are way above my pay grade. I'm just saying historically he is absolutely doing the right thing. And currently, I don't think he cares one whit about the midterm elections right now, okay? Not one whit. And, you know, you kind of hate to see oil prices and gasoline prices go up, but it will be temporary. I'm not worried about that either. It's a very small price to pay. And the other thing that's so important here is our Gulf allies are allies.
Can I add a layer into that with the U.S.-Saudi nuclear deal?
Yes,
Do
there
you
go.
view that as an ally?
Yes.
Interdependence, economic vested interest in that Gulf region now?
I agree. It's one example. It's an important example. Look, we've been talking for a while about Israel and the Arab states. So Israel is working with them on a daily basis, providing intelligence, right? Because they have such a fabulous intel operation, and technologies, because Israel has a terrific technology capabilities for their military and civilian uses. They're working with countries that used to be their mortal enemies. That just shows you how important. You cannot allow Iran to be a kind of North Korea in the middle of the Middle East, okay? You cannot allow China to keep buying Iranian oil and thereby financing the whole bloody war. You can't let that happen. You can't let Russia come in. Russia's got its own big problems, and that's turning out to be perhaps a better story.
How are we stopping China from, and this has been Dagan's point, are they giving drones to Iran? Is Iran purchasing drones? How are they able to do all of this stuff? Where are they getting all of this?
Well,
and how do we continue to pressure China and say, stop it?
Look, the issue is we were a little early, premature, in my view, reopening the oil sales. Because China buys it. They're selling it to China. We know that. I don't know what the number is, 6 billion, 10
We heard
billion.
6 billion.
Yeah, a lot of money. 50, 60 million barrels of oil. I mean, they jumped right on it. Was that a tactical mistake? Probably it was. Who knew? They were trying to lure Iran to the table. So, okay. But that's ending now. That's ending now. The blockade has been restored. So the Chinese financing, I'm not going to say it's airtight, but the Chinese financing is greatly diminished. Look, everything is greatly diminished. I mean, Iran is in a lot of trouble. Whatever they're doing out of their inventories with missiles and drones they have, they're not rebuilding. I mean, we're stopping all that. That's why the vice is tightening. Okay, the snake is tightening the grip around their neck. And this thing's not going to go on forever. This thing will be over relatively soon. And that's as it should be. and then we can get on with the business. I'm really a big fan right now. I've been talking to this with General Keane and others. You know, covert operations, the way Reagan and Thatcher and Pope John Paul II, for example, where they helped Poland and Eastern Europe during the Soviet communist period, okay? With Poland especially, and Lech Walesa, providing money and resources and all those Eastern European countries that we did. This was, you know, covert operations to undermine the old Soviet Union. We know how to do this. We did it in Nicaragua. We actually did it in Venezuela, too, just very recently. So I'm hoping that a lot of that is going on, because I don't think the radical Islamists who are running the place, the crazy people, my guess is that they have their own problems internally, all right? The vice may be tightening. You know, we're restoring Scott Bessent's economic fury, all right? It wasn't, in hindsight, it was a mistake. We were premature to let the sanctions down. All right, and they're not easy. Once you let them, you have to go and negotiate with different countries around. Now, but it's being done now, and that grip will be tightened also. So we're doing the right thing. We're on the right path right now. The president has the right mindset, and we'll just do what America does. We will fight for freedom.
Brian, do you have a quick final thought?
Well, Larry has said something in the past that I was less. I was more dismissive of in the past, but I think he might be right now. And that is, I agree with the assessment that Trump has crossed the Rubicon, that we are in a new phase and that we are doing things that need to be done. But I think the challenge he has is I don't know if the American people 100% know that or believe that, because they have been moved around so much from we're hitting them hard, now we're doing a deal, now we're pulling back, now we're going in again. And it's like, you know, if somebody asks you to go all in, you can say, I'll go all in, but I got to know that you mean we're going all in. And I think that buffeting around, so the thing you've said in the past that I think is really critical, I thought this was going to happen like last week and it didn't, is the president getting out there and giving people a narrative of where the conflict has gone and where he is now and what they can expect from their leader and how this is going to happen. I haven't thought that was as necessary in the past. I feel like we need that now, especially if he is serious about a new level of conflict with these guys. Because I just don't know if the average American out there could tell you where we stand with this and where we're headed with this, Larry. Tell me if I'm wrong now. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's my sense of the need to lead the people through helping them understand what this is about right now.
I think some sort of speech would be okay. I mean, it is not his style.
It's not.
Reagan was better at it than Mr. Trump has a more ad hoc style. He's always accessible to the media.
Right.
Even the media that doesn't like him, he's accessible, and he's quite good at that. So I don't disagree with your point. I wouldn't hang my hat on it. We'll see. Look, I will make this point. I believe this. I've been around a very long time, and I have seen many conflicts. And I think you just never sell the American people short. You never sell them short. I believe, and I don't look at every poll. I look at some polls. Americans understand how bad Iran is, and they understand how bad the threat of nuclear weaponry is. Do they agree with everything that goes on? No. Do they necessarily love everything he does or says? No. But in a pinch, I'm just going to bet on the American people. You know, I mean, I go all the way. I could talk about this endlessly. All I know is, having worked in the Reagan White House and having worked in the Trump White House, things get very dicey sometimes. But when you're on the right side of history, Americans will back you.
Yeah.
They will. And we are now on the right side of history. This is a Nazi-like regime, and Americans know that. The one thing polls show, nobody likes Iran.
Right.
You can ask about the conduct of the war and this and that and gasoline prices and affordability. I understand all those issues. But people know that Iran is an evil place, and something's got to be done about it.
We're
So
gonna
I just
leave it
bet
there.
on the American people. That's my take.
Well said. We're going to leave it there.